So as a company director, as a company owner, you're always looking at, okay, but how is that going to affect my bottom line? I'm paying an extra day for someone, but actually it's much better.
There's a view that potentially the education, curriculum isn't necessarily designed for the future, and the employee of the future.
You've got to get involved within the education settings and go and expose these young people into technology and careers in tech. What you've got to understand is that these kids are already using technology. They're more savvy than we are, than in my time. So they've already got a lot of these skills that are sort of, there. To them, it's about, okay, but then how do I make money? How do I become employed in this area? You get developers that haven't got the commercial knowledge, or IT people that haven't got the commercial knowledge. We're trying to infuse that in them by being part of the community.
All right, I want to ask you a question I ask everybody, which is, podcast is called Tomorrow's Workplace Today. Yeah. So if you cast your mind forward 10 years, what are the big seismic changes do you think that you're going to see within the tech recruitment market?
I think...
Hi, I'm Steve. I'm the Digital Director here at Spectrum Group. Welcome to the podcast. As usual, I'm joined by Neil and John. I'm also joined by a very special guest, tech entrepreneur Antonio Tombanane. Please remember, like, subscribe, share. It really does help what we're doing. And with all that said, welcome to Tomorrow's Workplace Today. So, welcome to Antonio. Do you want to just give us a bit of background, who you are, what you do?
Yeah, okay. So my name is Antonio Tombanane, and I'm an entrepreneur in Hull. So I run an IT recruitment business, a tech events business, and now we're building the first digital training tech hub in Hull.
Wow.
Yes.
Loads to go at. Right.
Yeah, lots to go at, yeah. So busy man.
So we're going to dive into tech talent recruitment, how you recruit talent, how do you retain talent?
Yes.
And a bit about the kind of Yorkshire tech scene as well.
Yeah, cool. Right. Yeah, I'm excited about that. Yeah.
Excellent. So talk to me about the market then. We all know it's bonkers at the minute, but
yes.
What's your kind of, from the coalface, what's going on in terms of tech recruitment at the minute?
Yeah, it's a very tough market out there. I'll say this. There's a lot of competition for talent. And there's not enough talent. So this is not just a regional problem or Yorkshire problem. It's a global problem, and everybody's feeling it. If you're a small tech business in this region and you're trying to grow, you'll feel it the most because, the prices in terms of the cost to hire, or to actually find the best talent, the salaries are quite high. And obviously because of the pandemic, that's kind of really, made it even harder because now people can work from home and get a job from London, and London salary in Hull. So it's a major problem that we are absolutely working hard to try and solve and help the region with, getting talent.
And it's not just small tech businesses that are struggling, is it? You were telling me beforehand, there's some big names that you're working with that have got similar challenges. Is that fair?
Yeah. Everybody's got similar challenges. We work with all the big top 4 tech brands in the world, such as AWS, Microsoft, you name it. And they're all having the same challenges, which is upskilling. What you got to bear in mind is all these big tech brands have got their own reseller networks across the world that are selling the products. So the reseller network is going back to them and saying, where's the talent going to come from? How are we going to solve this problem? It's a global problem. We're just feeling it the most because, we get a lot of brain drain out of our city. I think there's a lot of work we need to do within the education system to help. So, and that's kind of what I focus a lot on. My day job is to try and solve that problem.
All right. So if you were sat talking to a digital director that struggles to recruit, just imagine that.
Yeah.
What would you do? What's the answer to the problem?
I would say, have a plan, don't look at it on a 6-month basis, have a look at it on a 2 or 3 year plan, because you have to build your talent. You have to start very early. I think that's one of the key things that we're saying, because a lot of the times when we speak to CIOs or CTOs or digital marketing directors, they have a problem that is already there.
Yeah.
The problem is already happening. So there's already a lack of skill. So you have to keep on building these talent pipelines. You have to get involved with the education system. You have to get involved with initiatives like ours, which is, about innovation, but also skills. Get your brand to be the first brand that your next talent's going to realize that actually I want to go and work for them. Yeah. That's really key. So the employer branding bit is also quite big. So it's always about thinking ahead. I would say that's one of the best advice I'll give you.
Cool. So you use that as a good opportunity to drop in your next adventure, which is brilliant. So talk to us about that then. Talk to us about the new kind of education of.
Yeah. So the Edge Hub. So the Edge Hub is for skills and enterprise. It's a digital skills tech hub where we're actually delivering courses and training from the biggest brands in the world. So we're working with the likes of Google, IBM, Amazon, Microsoft. We're offering these on demand. So if you're a business that you have got employees, or you're an individual, who's just looking to upskill, you can come to this hub and get skilled. It's actually done within your own time frame. So you can do it in 3 months or 6 months. And it's actually the latest technology that you're learning. But it's in an environment that's a business commercial environment. So you can come and hot desk at this place. Okay. You can network with people whilst learning these new skills. So that's a really different concept to what we're actually delivering in Hull. And we're hoping to be operational by the end of the year and up and running.
So is this for developers then? Who should be listening to this and going, yeah, that sounds right for me? Developers?
A developer, an IT support infrastructure, first line. If you're getting first job in IT, whether it's first line, second, you're looking at cybersecurity. We're just doing some work at the moment with Hull College and one of our other partners around fiber optics. So we're training engineers to become fiber optics installers. We know that Hull's basically going to be one of the most competitive areas for broadband, but they're going to need the skill. So this is an example of something that we're already doing and delivering now. So we're upskilling 30 individuals as we speak now that, wouldn't have had the opportunity to go into that sort of employment. And then from there on, they can become, network infrastructure engineers. They can become data center managers. So really long-term employment. We're looking at, that's kind of our focus.
Okay.
Yeah, jobs of the future.
And it's not classroom. They're not going to rock up and sit in front of a PowerPoint all day, or are they? Or what does it look like?
It's a mix. Yeah, it's a mix. So there's a mix that, we believe that learning is changed and it's always going to be different, So the traditional learning is not only going to be viable for certain people or certain circumstances. So you're going to have opportunities to learn virtually, opportunities to learn in a classroom environment, but also to have an opportunity to learn within a business environment where you're actually talking to other businesses, learning about the issues and problems. Because as we had a discussion earlier on before the podcast, we spoke about, you get developers that haven't got the commercial knowledge, or IT people that haven't got the commercial knowledge. We're trying to infuse that in them by being part of the community. So that's how it's going to work.
Where's this going to be located?
It's going to be located on Myton Street, opposite the Bonus Arena.
In Hull.
In Hull. Yes. Yeah.
The tech centre of Yorkshire.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
So you mentioned, Antonio, about education, and obviously this sounds amazing, and certainly for the people of here and now, that's going to be really strong. But obviously we've all got kids that are in education, primary, secondary, whatever it is. How do we get them to get into this sooner?
Yes.
We've mentioned it before in other podcasts that, there's a view that potentially the education, curriculum isn't necessarily designed for the future, and the employee of the future.
Yeah.
How do we do that? I know you can't be a one-man crusader,
yes,
but,
exactly,
but what are your thoughts on how we can get education establishments or,
getting
trusts to take it on.
To take it on. So I'll give you an example. Last week we did what we call a Features in Tech days. So we're still doing it. We continue to do this week as well. We had some of our partners, employer partners, go into schools and engage with students, young students that would never had opportunity or exposure into careers of the future. So I think that's really important. You've got to get involved within the education settings and go and expose these young people into technology and careers in tech. What you got to understand is that these kids are already using technology. They're more savvy than we are, than in my time. So they've already got a lot of these skills that are sort of, there. To them, it's about, okay, but then how do I make money? How do I become employed in this area? What can I do? What excites me? Because you can be a creative person or somebody who is in art or any other sort of, different type of sort of, interest in your career, but using technology. So that's kind of where the focus is. Tech is everywhere. So that's what we do. I would say, look, get them involved. Look at what their talents are. What do they really like doing? If there's drawing or whatever, okay, do you know that can be a graphics designer, or you can be, working for one of the biggest brands doing whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? So there is that.
It's really interesting because my son just got accepted for his first job. It's not really a proper job, but he's actually within their school. They've created tech consultants, so the students are tech consultants to teachers and fellow students, so that they then say, right, actually, they hold like what they call nurseries where people will come in and go, right, I've got a problem with my phone or whatever. And then it's students that are actually going, do you know what? Yeah, that's what you need to do. Try this, try that.
Yeah.
But it's also for the teachers to benefit from this. So, he was proper made up when he got the acceptance letter come through on his email. So, but I think that's really good. That's the first I've heard of that.
There's a need for that, isn't there? I mean, I look at some of the processes, some of the businesses now that have digitized all of their work. People like my parents, 50, 60, 70, how on earth are they meant to engage with these businesses? Because they struggle. I end up doing it on their behalf. There's an opportunity to use the youth and the knowledge experience they've got to help the older generation.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right.
Good. So talk to us about the 4-day week then, because that was big news a couple of years ago.
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
Good timing.
Just before COVID. Yeah, we're actually in Lisbon walking, and and we just thought about this. We thought, look, what if we did this? We're a very small business, right? But what if we're to empower our team and think about sort of at that time we were really, really busy doing a lot of work, but we're like, actually, we need to start thinking about the well-being. What does that look like? Because sometimes we think it's just a pay rise that will make a big difference, but actually, I think it's the extra time with your kids, your family, that is actually a bigger difference.
Yeah.
So we started looking at that in terms of how do we implement that. And we did it. We started trialing the 4-day week, where you work 4 days a week, you get paid for 5. So this is not working 4 days a week, but cramming in an extra day in those 4 days. That defeats the object.
Instead of 8 hours,
you're
doing 10.
Instead of 8 hours, you're doing 10 across 4 days. No, that's not it. You actually gain an extra day from the business back to you.
Interesting.
There is a caveat. It's got to be based on productivity. So that's what we were looking for. We're looking, okay, if the results are there and it actually keeps on improving, we'll continue to do it. And that's why we sort of, when we trialed, we did that. So we noticed one of the things that we had from some of our team was, for the first few times, I've been able to go and pick my son up from school at 3 p.m. To me, that was worth more than anything, basically, the value of actually having that. Yeah. But we also noticed a 50% increase in productivity. So as a company director, as a company owner, you're always looking at, okay, but how is that going to affect my bottom line? I'm paying an extra day for someone, but actually it's much better. It's really positive. Yeah, and we had a lot of PR around it. We spoke to everybody, the news medias and everybody, people from all over the world got in touch with us. Yeah, a lot of attention over it. But it really worked. And I think that's kind of one of the things that I'm seeing people doing now more. I think there was a report that came out recently that said 86% people that did the last trial said they would love to implement that long term. I think it's something that every business is going to have to analyze. How does that work for the business, right? One of the first things that we had as a challenge, as a learning point was, I want every Friday off, or every Monday off. Yeah. No, it's got to be rotating. So you got to be able to rotate and make sure that it's business critical. So there's always got to be somebody, the business doesn't shut on a Friday. It's still operational. It's just that some of your team are off.
So do you have a routine then? You kind of move from day to day, right?
Yes,
so that's
you've got to have almost like a rota system that works for everybody. And, you take it in turns that, I'll have this Friday and then you'll have the next Friday. That's sort of how we implemented it.
And you say you measure productivity and that's a kind of key KPI to test whether it's a success or not. So what does that actually look like? How do you measure the productivity of your team? Yeah,
okay. For example, we look at, sales value, orders. How many orders are we getting? How many calls are we making? How many touch points are we keeping with our clients? All the KPIs that you'd have anyways within a business environment, we monitor those. Okay. And we believe that they have to keep on going or increase in order to make it viable. So, and that's something that you have to really religiously monitor almost on a weekly basis. If you have a CRM system or dashboard that can actually give you that information, I would obviously advise to always have that.
And is that at a team level or is it at an individual level? If you hit your KPIs, you can have that 4-day week, or if you don't, then you can't. Or is it as a team, the KPIs are going in the right direction and therefore everybody gets a 4-day week or not?
We all work as a team. So, from a business perspective, we have to pull as one. So if there's obviously someone that's a person where they're not performing, we need to view the person's performance, but it's got to be a team effort. Otherwise it doesn't work.
Yeah. Did you think that helped with the fact that the mentality is I don't want to let my teammate down, so I'm gonna make sure I'm doing my end of the bargain?
Yeah, absolutely, because it can quickly, that's the caveat. It can quickly be removed if it's not working.
And when you say quickly removed, what was the kind of sort of frequency? Was it right? Actually, this week, next week we're gonna have a 4-day week. and then we'll monitor it. Was it on a rolling weekly basis? How did you do it?
You've got to give it time. That's
Right.
one thing is I will say, we give it 3 to 6 months to get some proper data to be able to review it, because you can't just give it on a weekly basis and say, look, it's not working. You really got to invest more time to make sure that it's working, because, you could be talking about, a deal today that's not going to happen in December. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was part of when you was working as part of it for the 4-day week. So I said that's quite important to give it time to make sure that it works, but you review it on a weekly basis, so that if there's any things that you catch along the way, you can deal with it there and then.
Okay.
And as you said, from your question about letting your team down, it wasn't just about letting your team down. It was also about, you know what? I still want to go and pick up my son or my daughter from school. You know what I mean? I enjoy that. That's one of the moments that I get to do that.
Yeah, fair.
So you want to keep that.
Yeah. And has that been part of your kind of retention strategy? And to go back to the talent question, how do you recruit? How do you retain talent?
Yes.
Has it helped, I guess, in that sense?
Yeah. When we did that, we saw an uplift in sort of applications for some of the jobs we're recruiting for. Massive uplift. People wanted to come and work with us, because they thought, actually, I believe this company is going to think about my well-being and, what really matters to me, my work-life balance.
Yeah.
So we saw that. And those that are already working for us, they thought, you know what, this company really cares about me, and why would I want to go elsewhere?
And so to be clear, you're not doing that at the minute. You're doing a 5-day week, but it's something you're looking to bring
100%,
back. Is that right?
Yeah. We took a pause during the pandemic just to bring everybody back into the office, because we're working remotely and everything else. So by the end of November, we're going to start implementing that full time.
And what are the benefits that you saw from it last time around that has meant that you want to kind of bring it back in November?
My team's morale, the mental well-being of everybody.
Yeah.
The idea that you actually got a day potentially during the week that if you had a hospital appointment or something that you needed to do, you can plan ahead. So those are the benefits that we saw. But we saw business benefits as well. As a business, we were doing quite well during that period of trial. So a lot of people were performing really at above.
Did you say 15% or 50? 50% increase in performance.
Yeah, productivity and performance. Yeah.
Well, stupid question warning.
Yeah.
Were there any of your staff members that weren't keen on doing a 4-day week or found it hard to adopt working 4 days? Because I sometimes think that some people can be really busy and trying to get it all done in 4 days could be really challenging. So I'm interested, curious probably, as to whether some people were like, do you know what? Yeah, that's great in principle, but reality is I can't get it all done in 4 days.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there was a few people that had sort of a bit of an apprehension in terms of, this is my work pattern. This is how I like to work, right?
Yeah,
you're kind routine. I'm in a routine. You're taking me away from my routine. I don't like working under pressure to get things done in 4 days or whatever. So there was that discussion around, look, you know what? You're not under pressure, You're having to be more productive. So you have to work smarter. So the things that you think actually are mundane tasks, you need to almost try and automate them or being in systems to automate them.
Really interesting. I was just going to say what the segue that
Nice segue there. I like that. Continue.
Hi guys, I just want to jump in and talk about a specific area of automation which we often get involved in, which is the processing of supplier invoices, or accounts payable automation as it's also known. Most businesses have invoices that they get sent from their suppliers. Essentially what our solutions do is they read those invoices, they extract key information from them, like purchase order numbers, supplier codes or supplier names. We then use that information and match that up against digital records. So can we find a purchase order number? Can we find a goods received note for that product? If we can, then we can match it up, we can reconcile it, and we can automatically post that into your finance system. What makes us different is that we configure our solutions to be specific to your organization. So we're not an out-the-box, plug it in and see what you get. We actually understand more about your processes, your organization, your supplier base, and we configure the solution to meet those requirements. Hopefully that's enough to pique your interest. If it is, get in touch, let's have a chat.
Did you have to then introduce or bring tech in or something that would help with those mundane tasks?
Yes, we had, and I think this is the great thing about technology. It's actually solved the problem to a solution. It was a solution to a problem that we had, which actually was bringing a brand new CRM system that allowed us to automatically send emails off the CRM system, so follow-ups, tasks, and all that kind of stuff. So brilliant. You know, it really makes a big difference. You know, we went paperless, so there was no less printing. So like the amazing things that you guys are doing here. So anybody listening, you need to be speaking
We
to
won't take
yourself.
offence that we didn't get called. What CRM did you put in? Out of interest.
HubSpot.
Okay, yeah.
Pretty cool.
Good things.
Yeah.
What one question actually? Did everybody take up the offer of the 4-day week?
Yes, they did. 100%. Yeah, everybody did.
And was it everyone had to be on board? Or, you know, because it'd be interesting, I guess, if, let's say, 90% were like, yeah, I'm all for this. And then 10% were like, yeah, I'm quite happy just staying as I am. Did you want everyone on the same journey, or was
we
it
wanted
actually...
everybody. We were not going to force if they didn't want to be on it. So, I mean, but I don't see why you wouldn't want to.
Well, I've worked in businesses before where it's unlimited holiday temporarily. And what that business found, don't get any ideas, but people took less holiday. Yeah, because they had the option. They just didn't go on holiday to the point where they actually scrapped it and said, you need to take holiday, you need to take 2 weeks off every week as a block. So I just wondered if...
Yeah, it's a similar type of mindset that, you know, you got to have. It's like, you know, as you said, the unlimited holidays. People, you know, we got to treat people like adults, right? In my business, that's what we do. You know, if they want a time off or if you wanted to do... You know, it's an initiative that we're all working in it together. So I think that was always the focus. It's like, if you don't want to be part of it, that's fine. But if you're part of it, you know, let's really make a difference, you know? Yeah. And that's kind of what we looked at. But nobody was against it. Everybody wanted it. No,
what are other businesses doing to recruit and retain talent? Because you're out speaking to businesses every day.
Yes.
What's that? And you talked about the employer brand.
Yes.
And I presume, and you said it's not just the salary, it's the broader package.
Yeah.
So what are the things that people are offering, but also candidates are looking for?
What they're requesting you.
I think, you know, since the pandemic, a lot of people, how we see the workplace is completely changed. So we're no longer just motivated by how much money I make. It's actually what does actually mean to me as a person, my values, you know. So I'm seeing that a lot of employers are offering things that are more related to the family, you know, to your work-life balance. You know, if you're somebody who likes to travel, like you said, unlimited holidays or, you know, healthcare packages that have always been before, but now looking at sort of things like bringing mental health officers that are coming into the office, talk about mental health. So there's a lot of things around that, sort of, you know, initiatives like that. But obviously with that comes the rest of the stuff like birthdays off. That's something that we always do. We've done that for many years, you know, Friday beers together with the team and pizzas and all that kind of stuff. I'm seeing businesses bringing sort of, you know, like yoga instructors or, you know, things that are more about your mindset and your mental health and well-being, because we know that the work environment is forever going to be changing. So these are the benefits that we're seeing a lot. But employer branding is one of the biggest things, I think, you know, because you've got to be able to attract the right talent by making sure that you are talking to them directly as an employer when you brand yourself. Yeah. So, you know, and it's so tough out there at the moment that, you know, it is a candidates market, especially in tech.
Yeah, they've got choices.
You know, they've got choices. You know, I can get a job in Silicon Valley working in Hull, winning £200,000 salary, right? So how do you compete against that? Yeah. You know, it's got to be really something that's going to get you inspired to say, look, you know what? And you've got to have a vision. You've got to be very visionary, because I see that a lot of sort of, you know, tech people, they like to work on projects that are going to change, you know, people's lives or something like that. Do you know what I mean? So if you get them on your vision and you market it properly, then you're going to get the right talent.
Yeah, I think that's right. It's people want to work on stuff that's exciting, don't they?
Yeah.
Using exciting technology and interesting products.
Yeah, emerging tech. They're always looking at, okay, emerging tech. How are you transforming? You know, how are you moving sort of things? You know, making things happen. And I think that's where the market is at. And you know, if you know, we're getting people that are coming out of university now, you know, kids that have got no experience asking for £50,000 salaries, you know, so that's how bad it is at the moment.
It's crazy, isn't it?
But on that then, Antonio, sorry, Steve, but on that, so straight out of uni, I've got a 2-1 or I've got a first class degree and I'm this. Yeah. And I want £50,000 a year and I want 4-day week and all of those sort of things. Yeah. Is there not, from the employer's point of view, yes, at the moment it's tough getting talent. Yeah. But for me, granted, slightly older than the rest of you, but I'm kind of thinking, I think if I was coming straight out of uni, 50 grand sounds brilliant, but the pressure that would hit you straight through on the day one. Yes. Well, come on then, let's see it. Surely, and I know at the moment it's all about, you know, well, not all about, but quite important is, you know, how much am I getting paid and what's coming into my salary, apart from all the other benefits we've discussed. But for me, it's more around that whole, why would you put kind of a target on your back straight off the bat, first job, rather than go, actually, you know what, I'm going to evolve. Maybe my second job, I'll say I want 50 grand or 70 grand or whatever it is. Do employers not question when someone says, I'm straight out of uni and I want £50,000, please?
I guess to jump on the back of that is who set that level of expectation? Was it the university saying, oh yeah, go on this course and get an X amount of thousands of debt because you can get this job at the end of it? Or has it been other recruitment companies in a different area? They put the ads out there and sometimes they put some big salaries on there just to sort of, whether it be disrupt or just kind of set expectations. And then when you actually get in, do you know what I mean? It's not always what it's advertised to be.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, it's just the supply and demand, basically, right? The demand is there, and some employers are willing to take the risk on bringing somebody on that salary and train them to retain him. Do you know what I mean? Me personally, I wouldn't do it because I think that's kind of starting on the wrong sort of, the morals of it, around business and ethics of it. If you haven't got the right skills that you're actually not commercially experienced, why would I pay you that amount of salary? I'd rather sort of, put a lot of the investment into building a talent pipeline, as green as they come, and then bring them into my business, and train them. So I spend more time training them to upskill them. Do you know what I mean? Instead of...
Yeah, definitely. That's the approach that we've taken, certainly with the technical guys downstairs. It's recruit good, ambitious people from Hull University and kind of train them up.
Train them up, I would definitely focus on that. I think that's kind of where the difference is between those that are, coming off of university, think they can get a 50k salary and wake off their bedroom and expect a pizza Domino's delivered every Friday to them. You know what I mean? It's like, no, come on. We're living in the real world, but it's because of the demand.
Is this a bubble though?
It is.
Is this going to burst?
Not anytime soon.
No,
because we're not catching up with the skills. What you have is you've got a massive skills gap. So the older generation that were always in tech are retiring, and that generation here is not there yet. And tech is moving so fast that you bring somebody in, you've got to almost train them, and on a monthly basis. As we know, we're now talking about Web3. We're talking about NFTs, the metaverse. So all that kind of stuff that's happening, the best way to work on this is to really go at source and sort it there.
Yeah. And do you find companies are going near shore or offshore, or they're looking for talent? They've opened their eyes to a wider talent pool, or and has that kind of driven things? Because again, there's some massive companies out there that recruit globally, and again, India's always been one of those where they talk about and that type of thing. Or we went to a talk where there was a global HR director from Snowflake, and he was in Leeds, and he was saying they had the issue where there was recruiting certain people, say in America, in California, paying them Californian wages, and then it was keeping track of them that was the issue. They were moving to a cheaper places to live, but then expecting, it's like you said earlier, it's the London salaries for up north living costs. So.
I was having a chat with the CTO of one of the top 4 companies, and he's one of the only CTOs, one of the 36 CTOs in this big global company, and they were saying, look, they were sending a lot of their talent and outsourcing it from the likes of India, and going there. But the cost, because every man and his dog's now going to India for the same sort of talent, it's gone up.
Yeah.
So what they're looking at now is, okay, it can't be done in London because London's already very expensive. What are the cost benefit exercises of having near shore, but let's say up north, where the cost of living is much more better? But how do we achieve that? How do we create an ecosystem? So you've got to have the right partners on board. You've got to have the right educational partners on board, the right companies that are working with you. So it's almost like everybody's effort. So I think, to back to your question, they were going like offshore, but the cost of going offshore is actually quite high now. And obviously the current, stuff happening in Russia and Ukraine, that's not helped as well because, there's a lot of talent over there. So it's a massive challenge for CIOs, for CTOs, you know what I mean, that are actually facing right now, And again, if you're a small business that, you're in tech and you're trying to grow, it's unsustainable. Because the cost is always going to keep on going up and it's not going to stop soon. So my advice is always look at going back, start investing now. If you're looking at long term, short term, you could probably use contracting. Do you know what I mean? But they're expensive as well. Yeah. They're very expensive. They'll solve you the problem. But if you're quite smart in terms of your strategy, you can use somebody who's a very senior contractor working alongside one of your junior guys. So while they're working on a project, they're teaching somebody else. So by the time they're finished, you almost got the 2 for the price of 1, in essence. So there's different strategies that we're always working with employers. Like
and you've got to retain people. Because you've got people like you sniffing around stuff.
To be honest with you, that's one of the reasons why we literally went to the actually, how do we sort the problem? Because it's unethical, and I think it's not attainable to be moving people from one company to the one company. And I think that's kind of morally doesn't sit right with us, so you see the same faces going, oh, I've got 50K, I've got 60K. Oh my God, you've just gone round. Do you know what I mean? And they've earned another 50K.
Holding people to ransom.
Exactly. So to me, that's morally not right. So that's why we're working with a lot with the education sector. We're working with a lot of the business sector to try and change that.
Guys, I'm back. I just want to jump in and talk about a specific area of automation that we get involved in, which is called RPA, also known as robotic process automation. Basically, what that does is it replicates human behavior. So we use software bots to replicate human behavior. So anywhere where you've got people or teams of people going onto different systems, copying, pasting data, going onto web applications or portals, downloading information, uploading information, any of that stuff tends to be rule-based. Go here, do this, do that. And instead of using your people to do that, actually you can use a bot to do that. So we can configure a bot to do exactly that process. It's a massive growth area, really exciting technology. Gartner talk about it as being the fastest growing enterprise technology in the market. Hopefully that's enough to pique your interest. If it is, get in touch, let's have a chat, see if we can help. Going back to what's the initiative that you mentioned? The
Edge Hub, yes.
Hub. So for a business, so take Spectrum as an example, then if we wanted to get involved, what would that look like? Could we help shape the curriculum and develop a program for people?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing. We're partnering with companies such as yourselves where we say, okay, let's design a curriculum of, okay, what does the next Spectrum employee looks like? Do you know what I mean? So how can we shape a curriculum that is fit for purpose for them? And it's always evolving. Okay. So, and that's how we do it, And
commercially then, so who pays? Is it the candidate they pay to be part of it? Is it us as an organisation that pays, or is it both? Or what does that
the candidate usually doesn't pay for anything, in our opinion, because obviously if they're looking for work, if they're looking to upskill, they don't pay. There are courses that they can pay, that are available, but there's also government funding that's available to part pay, because we understand that actually some of the training is going to cost a bit of money. Do you know what I mean? So there needs to be support from a government. Okay. So at the moment, we know that Hull City Council run an upskilling fund, which will pay up to £1,500 per person that you upskill. So depending on the size of your business. So there's a lot of pots of money available to cover some of those costs, and it just depends in terms of, what you want to do.
Okay. All right. Let's have a chat afterwards.
Yeah.
Talk to us about the Yorkshire tech scene then, because we see a bit of it, a bit in Hessel. And we don't get huge exposure to what else is going on in Leeds and Sheffield and wherever else. So what's exciting stuff that's happening around?
Yeah. We just had Leeds Digifest, and that's just happened last week and the week before. And I think it was... it's a lot happening, it's a lot of exciting things happening. We're just working on the leveling up agenda in terms of, okay, what does leveling up look like for Yorkshire? And, I work quite closely with the likes of Stuart Clark, who runs Leeds Digifest, but he also sits on my board. So there's a lot of exciting things that are happening. There's a lot of startups coming out of Leeds, and sort of, out of the Yorkshire area, York, Sheffield as well. Sheffield have got a similar type of, tech scene. That's a lot happening. I think, over the next few years, we're going to see the shift happening quite faster. As you probably see, there's a news that Leeds has had so much investment in tech. We've had a lot of investment in tech and IT. Over some of the businesses in our region. That are actually getting quite a lot of investment. But what we need to keep on building is the success of startups, creating that bigger startup communities. And that's kind of what we're working with. With the Edge Hub sort of ideas. Actually, where we're going to get all the next future tech startups, from our region, and how can the bigger companies support that mission? But it's a quite exciting area to be at the moment in tech, as you well know. There's a lot of investment, it's just, we need to keep on beating the drum that actually don't just go to London, come to Yorkshire. There's a lot happening here, a lot of innovation. Yeah.
I love what you said earlier in terms of people not necessarily looking offshore, but looking near shore. The north of England.
Yes.
It's a bit like when we went up to Newcastle, our office at Newcastle, that centre of data innovation and things like that. I think they announced a stat that Newcastle was number one for creating sort of data scientists and things like that, which again, up north and again the skill sets. It's I think Cambridge was second. So again, it's one of those that need to be shouted about and advertised.
Yeah, and outside of Yorkshire as well, we've got the Manchester Tech Festival that's happening in October. We met with Amy, Naomi, and Stuart Clark and myself. Actually, hold on a minute, we've got a bit of a bigger voice here. The Manchester Tech Festival is probably going to be one of the biggest festival in Manchester and the Northwest. We've got to bring it together. So working with Leeds and working with the Humber, Tech Week Humber, we're trying to bring that voice together for the North, saying, look, okay, we need to unite and work together and collaborate together. So we're supporting Leeds DigiFest, and then we're supporting Manchester Tech Fest, and then everybody's coming to support Tech Week Humber in November. So that's kind of how we're working.
About that then. What's going on in Tech Week Humber? Who's speaking? What's going on?
Yeah, quite exciting this year. We're actually doing a full week of events. So we've got a Google event. So one of the first kickoff days, actually, we're going to have a Google Digital Garage event, which is going to be done by Google. We have the Expo Day, which is actually the Tuesday, the 8th of November. And that's happening at the KCOM Stadium. Okay. Sorry, the MKM Stadium. It's changed names. Yeah. So that's happening on the 8th of November. So there's going to be a lot of businesses exhibiting, showcasing the innovation and technology products there. That's for the full day. And then we have a celebration evening, on the night of the 8th. We also have an educators conference at the Hilton. So that's going to be really for all the key decision makers in education. Because one of the things that we covered upon when we were speaking earlier on was actually we also need to work with the educators. Because the educators, they need to know what skills we want. We have some fantastic speakers from all over the world coming and supporting the event. And, you can see the lineup on the website, which is www.techweekhumber.com. There's some amazing people there. And we also have education days where we physically go into schools and colleges and talk to students and inspire them and think about digital careers and technology. So that's something that's going to happen at Hull College for the one day, and then at Wilberforce College for the other. So it's quite exciting week. A lot happening. Get involved.
Remind me the dates.
From the 7th of November to the 11th of November.
Okay. And is it too late? Can businesses get involved?
Yes, any business can get involved. Yeah. Okay. So just get in touch with us. Happy to speak to anybody who wants to do something with us.
I'm sure we should.
I think I went to one of the first ones at the Bonus Arena. That was good. I think the
Titan.
Yes, that massive robot there. Yeah, I was still trying to figure out whether that's a human or a robot. I'm like, that looks pretty good.
Say.
But I noticed that there was a lot of schools, a lot of colleges there, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And from your perspective, for businesses like ourselves, would you set it up? Because I went along and it was a bit like maybe the message wasn't as good, because I think it's more a recruitment event, I guess, or kind of just to speak to the kids about what it's like working in tech, what type of jobs they can get, what type of career path they should get. So I think if we were to approach it again, we need to approach it from that perspective.
That's one of our learning points was that actually 2019, because it was our first one, we brought everybody together. We realized that actually students are going to need their own time to come and get to connect with businesses. Instead of them coming to us, we're going to them. Yeah. So that's one thing that's changed for this year. So the Expo is going to be really focused around the business, side of things, where, B2B more sort of talking to each other and different talks happening. The educators conference is for us to go and speak to actually the educators, as it says, and the education day is for us to go and speak to the students. So we kind of separated, and we think that's the first feedback we got, and I think it's going to be brilliant this year.
And are the visitors coming from Yorkshire, or are we getting people from
all over the world?
Afield?
Yeah, all over the world. We've got people coming from Dubai, US, everywhere.
Excellent.
Yeah. Fantastic. That's another great thing is actually bringing, the economy to Hull, to the Humber.
So what type of organisation, if they listen to this, should be coming to this event?
It's for everyone. Yeah, you don't just have to be in tech to come and attend a tech event, because your business is probably using technology, right? So that's kind of what we're saying, So, if you're in a business that you're looking at, okay, how can I use digital transformation for my business? I want to learn about what's happening. Come and have a look. Register. It's free to register. So, you can attend, throughout the day. Come and network with other people. Get involved.
And you can, I guess it's a good opportunity to just pick a load of brains of people involved in technology around the county.
Find out what's happening, I mean, come and talk to people, if you guys are attending or doing something, understand what does that mean to go paperless, or do you know what I mean? Using technology, invoicing everything, online or whatever, what does the cloud do? What is all this metaverse stuff? Do you know what I mean? So come and have a look at it.
To take the podcast on tour.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a really good idea. Podcast on tour. Yeah, we could do it part of the week.
So where is all this? So it's at the MKM Stadium?
Yes, we've got the MKM Stadium as one of the venues. We've also got the Hilton Hotel in Hull as one of the other venues, and obviously the colleges.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And I want to talk about talent again. Just what are there some specific roles that are really difficult to find at the minute?
Yeah.
Or is it all of them in technology?
There are specific roles. I mean, as you probably know, Hull and East Yorkshire and the Humber were heavily Microsoft sort of, tech stack.
Yeah.
.NET developers, you can't get them,
Right.
C#, JavaScript, all that, you can't get them at all. We're having to result in going contracting a lot for some of our clients. So they're very difficult skills to sort of, to find now.
Are you getting people to relocate to Hull? Because we talk a lot about brain drain and we lose people from Hull and Yorkshire, in fact. Are you actually, flip it on its head, are you getting people to recruit and come here?
We're finding that people want to move just because of they don't like the fast-paced lifestyle. If they're living centrally in London, again, since the pandemic, people are rethinking in terms of, where am I going to settle down? Do you know that actually from Hull, 15 minutes, you're at the seaside. Do you know what I mean? You can go in a nice walk to the Yorkshire Dales and all that kind of stuff. So we're not just selling the jobs, we're selling actually it's a lifestyle. If you want a lifestyle change, this is where you need to be, not in central London.
But on that, do many employers, because we were saying earlier on around the fact that actually some people could be sat, just for this argument, down in Cornwall, but work for a company in the Humber. Are employers saying that you've got to be within a certain certain time frame from the office, or are they saying, actually, do you know what, I don't care as long as you're able to get online and do your job? That's fine by us. What's the...
Some are and some aren't. Some are saying, look, we need you within 60 miles or within an hour's driving to Hull. So, that gives us a bit of an option to go to places like York and Leeds and sort of Sheffield to hire those people. Some are saying, work from anywhere in the world, You're going to be in the Bahamas, and as long as you get the job done, they're not really bothered.
Don't give him my
tax efficient.
Yes.
We are seeing more and more, I think Elon Musk's email, which we talked about a few months ago, I feel like we're seeing more businesses wanting to get people back into the office and less remote. Is that fair? And do you think that will continue, or do you think it'll revert back to remote?
I think that's fair. I mean, from our perspective, our own experience as a business, I gave a choice to my team, say, look, okay, what do you want to do? Everybody wanted to come back to the office because we feel like we're more creative, we're more inspired working together. But there's always the option to have a bit of both. I think it depends on a business by business case. We can't all be uniform and do everything the same. I think that, the trend is that people want to get back and work together, even if it's for 2 or 3 days, and then still have that, that days where you're at home or doing something else, working from home.
Yeah, I think that's fair. All right, I want to ask you a question I ask everybody, which is, podcast is called Tomorrow's Workplace Today. Yeah. So if you cast your mind forward 10 years, what are the big seismic changes do you think that you're going to see within the tech recruitment market?
I think the tech recruitment market is completely going to get disrupted. So we're going to have the personal sort of touch of speaking to a human, but I think it's going to be a lot automated. There's a lot of mundane tasks that can be automated. I think that's where the future is going to go, and it's going to be sort of technology that will be able to get into talent quite quicker and access talent quite quicker, more faster than us as humans. With regards to sort of the jobs market, I think obviously we know manufacturing is getting disrupted like there's no tomorrow. So there's going to be, who knew that there's going to be a social media manager job role, right?
Yeah.
A few years ago, right? So obviously, there's a lot that is happening in terms of disruption. I think if you're a business that is in manufacturing or any sort of supply chain, you need to start looking at tech, immediately. Start talking to you guys, about, okay, what does the future look like? What I need to do to innovate,
You can come on again.
Yes. I'll charge. But yeah, there is that at the moment. And I think we're seeing that because of the businesses that we're working with.
Yeah.
We're working with some really heavy duty manufacturing businesses that are coming to us and looking at innovation and tech in terms of, how can they use digital transformation. So, it's going to change the whole industry. I think the legal industry is going to change. You're no longer going to be able to go to court and the decision is going to be made by a jury or something like that. A computer will make that decision because it can historically go and look at all other cases and say whether you and your missus are splitting up or staying together or whatever. So that's going to happen. I think that's going to be big changes.
Really?
Obviously, the financial sector is already changing. We know that with fintech. That's already one of the most disrupted industries. Insurance is being disrupted, insurtech. So, if you start looking at, how you pay for your car insurance, that's going to be based upon, everything that the data that your car is giving to you, now that all our cars are connected. Do you know what I mean? So that's going to be happening. And then you've got obviously the metaverse, when you start looking at sort of blockchain, NFTs, all that kind of stuff. So that is all happening right now. So it's a lot to take in. So if you're not clued up, start getting clued up. And this podcast is a great opportunity to do that.
Love that. Yeah. Brilliant. Should we end it there?
Look at that.
Thank you very much for your time, Antonio. Really appreciate it.
Brilliant.
Good man.
Right, guys. So sorry to jump in here, but my chief content wizard has insisted that I stop and ask for a favour yet again. So apparently about 70% of the people watching are not actually subscribing or following us on our channels. So please, come on, what are you doing? Help us out. You're having your cake and eat it. So yeah, apparently there's a bell to press. So press the bell, click subscribe, and please help us on our journey. Thank you very much.